So last week, a Texas school district banned transgender bathrooms and preferred pronouns use into the public schools, which is of course is great news. We'll get into that a little bit. And then crime in California has increased 6% since 2022, and this is obviously because of left-wing policies. So what are the Republican elected officials in California doing to combat this? We'll talk a little bit about the left-wing policies causing the crime spike and what the Republicans are proposing. Then lastly, the White House is completely trying to cover up for the cocaine found in the West Wing this past weekend. I'm Solo. This is the Solo Show. So according to the Daily Wire, give me one sec. So a Texas school district has banned trans-identifying students from using the bathroom of the opposite sex and prohibited school staff from promoting preferred pronouns. School board for the California Independent School District just north of Fort Worth passed the policies on June 28th in a 5-0 vote. One of the policies states that district employees shall not promote, encourage, or require the use of pronouns that are inconsistent with a student's or other person's biological sex. Another new policy requires students to use the bathroom and locker room that corresponds to the gender assigned at birth. However, schools may allow students to use single-stall restrooms. The new policies lay the groundwork for protecting kids and educators. I also think they are basically help us get off a good start for the upcoming school year, said Charlie Radcliffe, the California School Board president. The school district has about 3,400 enrolled in students, and members from Citizens Defending Freedom, True Texas Project, and other community members campaigned for the school policies. And this is, of course, a great policy set by this Texas school district. You know, you have places like California that are going to actively hide your child from experiencing gender dysphoria, going to hide, say that it's the child's place to tell the parent when they're ready, and then at school they have a completely different name, different pronouns, and this is absolutely insane. They're also going to be taking away your kid in California if you don't affirm their gender dysphoria. And this Texas school district understands what public school is meant to do. It is a place to teach your children math, science, English, not ideologies, and basically indoctrinate your children. And that is why today you have 82% of public schools are failing at educating your children. It is because it has become a place of ideology, culture, and it's not a place of teaching the basic subjects. And this is why California, 40% of the residents want to move out. You have their schools going completely woke. They're going to take away your children if you're doing that. And not only that, that the crime has increased by 6% alongside increased property crime and larceny theft rates since 2022. So California is a completely falling state as Texas is going to continue to thrive. Their GDP is growing. The amount of people moving over there is growing. And their school districts are going to become safer from woke ideologies. And of course, it's going to produce more successful people in society. So talking about crime in California, it increasing 6% since last year, alongside other types of crime increasing as well, and this contributes to people wanting to move. The whole point of law enforcement is to enforce the law. California is restricting law enforcement to do so. When you don't have a safe society or a safe place that you're governing, people aren't going to want to buy. They're not going to want to start businesses. They're not going to want to start families. They're not going to want to buy houses. That's going to completely mess up your economy and the society. So that's why you see so many people moving. That's why 4 out of 10 Californians are seriously considering about moving. It becomes less profitable to have a business in California. That's also why big companies like Tesla, other big names, the Daily Wire, they all move from LA or around LA and are moving to red states. And, they're moving to places like Texas and Florida where there's law and order. And, when you have, especially like a lot of the tech businesses, when you're essentially able to just work from home, what's the point of living in San Francisco, LA, Silicon Valley, when you can move somewhere, make the same amount of money, but pay 90% less in rent or for the office spaces? So for those of us that are not fortunate enough to just pick up and leave and start somewhere in a red state, What are the Republican elected officials doing to combat leftist policy destroying our once beautiful state? So, one of the Assembly state members basically posted, it's the Assembly Republicans website, and basically they basically said, Republicans are invested in making sure Californians can stay safe from violence and theft. To do that, Republicans are fighting to solve our public safety challenges by funding our courts, support law enforcement, and closing loopholes that criminals are taking advantage of, which is very true. And they have a set of public safety bills. So they have AB 15, early release transparency, basically saying, how do you guys calculate for this person to get released early on, parole or whatever. They have AB 18, controlled substances. Anybody who is convicted or pleads guilty to selling fentanyl, they get a notice of dangers of distributing it, controlling substance, and what if a person dies, that they could be charged with voluntarily manslaughter or even murder. Of course, great things. There's a huge fentanyl crisis in America. This is going to help that, but that did fail in the Public Safety Committee 2-5. I'm assuming the 5 were probably Democrats. AB 27, sentencing enhancements, exempt firearm use related sentencing enhancements from a current law requirement. Judge must dismiss a sentencing enhance if it is in the furtherance of justice, instead of providing that a judge would not be required to dismiss the enhancement for a criminal defendant to commit felonies while armed with or while using firearms during the commission of a felony, which is completely right? Why are you dismissing people that are taking the gun charge? You should give them longer sentences. If they commit more crimes, give them more longer sentences. Simple as that. Victim restitution, basically saying that you're going to have to pay the victims of whatever said crime that you did for non-economic damages. Then restore pre-Prop 47 felonies, increase penalties for serial theft crimes, reenact the penalties which existed for the crime of committing petty theft with multiple prior theft-related convictions, which existed prior to the repeal by Proposition 47 of 2014, which is absolutely true. Why are these serial theft people not getting longer sentences? Why aren't they getting the book thrown at them if they're going to just continue to commit these crimes? Enhance crime victim rights, of course, another good bill. AB 303, armed and prohibited person systems reform. Armed and prohibited person system reform requires the California Attorney General to share any investigative reports and noted on individuals on APPS with local law enforcement agencies, allow greater local enforcement of APPS, which is, of course, is going to help law enforcement do their job better. And then AB 328, gun violence, restore the mandatory nature of the 10-20 life law. Firearm enhancements. This will ensure that anyone who brandishes, discharges, or inflicts great bodily injury with a firearm during the commission of a specified violent felony will be held accountable, which of course is a great rule. You have the Democrats constantly talking about, it's the guns, there's so much gun violence, we need to stop this. And then they go ahead and basically allow criminals to do whatever they want, but think it's the guns. This is going to really help with gun violence and gang violence in California, especially if they're going to get 10-20 life. They're going to be put away for a long time. And basically, the rest of them kind of go repeal Prop 47, which is going to be a great one. Throw the book at people who are repeat offenders. Catalytic converter theft, which has been on the rise in California. They get massive amount of money from the material inside the converters. This will basically, if you carry 2 or more, you'll basically be charged with it. And then controlled substance probation provides that whether a court grants probation to a person who committed drug possession, basically if you have a large amount of drugs, they're going to sentence you longer because you're most likely distributing it. And these are all great bills that are really great that the Republicans the state assembly Republicans are proposing. A lot of them are probably going to get shot down because it is a Democratic majority. But then you might ask yourself, what are the Democratic laws that are allowing crime to spike in California? So you heard me talk a little bit about Prop 47. It basically downgrades many felonies to misdemeanors and eliminated many tools law enforcement needs to get criminals off the streets. Because Prop 47 raised the felony threshold to $950 per day per store for property crime, experts agree this has led a major uptick in the smash and grabs. Under Prop 47, drug dealing and property theft is essentially now legal in California. Prop 57 allows for earlier release of violent criminals from prison. SB 357 legalizes loitering and solicitation for prostitution, resulting in a spike in human sex trafficking. No bail policy. State Democrats passed a law eliminating bail, but even though state voters overturned that law, local Democrat politicians are dropping bail requirements, resulting in the release of offenders who go on to commit even more crimes. Now, these are very simple. It's very simple logic, right? The softer you are on crime, the more you're going to have it. If criminals know, hey, if I do this, I'm not going to get in much trouble. I'll be back out next month, 2 months, a week maybe, or even the next day. They're going to continue to do these crimes. These people who are, it's going to be hard for them to change. They grew up around this all their life. And you see this happen in California. Since around 2012 when all those bills were passed, throughout the years, you're seeing the crime spike over and over and over. When you throw the book at people, they tend not to commit crimes. Criminals who think, if I use this gun right now, I might get 10, 20 to life. Maybe I should not use that. They are not that idiotic to the point where they see the law and see that the book's going to get thrown at me. I'm not going to see the outside for a really long time, so let me not commit the crime. And it is just common sense, and the fact that Californians or Californian politicians are just kind of letting criminals take over is absolutely insane when the majority of Californians are going to want these people behind bars. Talking about the lack of law enforcement, yesterday I talked about the cocaine found in the White House, and man, are they trying to cover for somebody. So at first they said the person is unlikely to be found, but the White House, which is probably the most secure and guarded place in the world really, and they can't find any camera footage of somebody in that area that might have dropped it, might have put it there, might have been using it. I mean, it is. You would think that they would be able to find this person pretty quickly. Then the Secret Service, for some reason, is changing where they initially found the bag and saying it was actually here. They initially said that they found it in the White House library, and now are changing it into one of the cubbies where people are permitted to put their phone when they enter the West Wing, because it's super scary and you're basically not able to have it in your phone. And, it seems like nobody really cares that this happened. You have President Joe Biden being asked about it, and he kind of just smirks at it. It looks like he's holding in laughter. You have the press secretary basically deflecting the question about it, saying, go ask the Secret Service. I mean, it is absolutely insane. You have left-wing media making jokes about it and laughing. And just imagine, these are the same people who criticize Trump for having multiple Diet Coke cans on his desk. And they just aren't freaking about the cocaine found in the White House. It is absolutely crazy, and the double standards are crazy. If this would have been any Republican, if it would have been anybody except Democrat, they would have had a meltdown. They would have wanted a full investigation. They would have wanted everybody drug tested. I mean, it is absolutely insane how hypocritical they are and how they're just letting this slip by like nothing happened. It is look like the Secret Service are going to wrap up their investigation sometime in the beginning of next week. So again, the person is unlikely to be found, which is pretty unfortunate because they should definitely be charged for something for bringing it into the White House. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just go ahead and leave a like, comment, and share. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.